Good evening, everybody. My name is David. I'm an alcoholic. It's good to be here. It's good to be sober. I want to thank Sicker Than Most, Robert in particular, for inviting me to come out. He says, you want to come and maybe share something? He goes, what meeting is it? He goes, Sicker Than Most. I said, well, I qualify, I qualify. Sure, it would be a pleasure to freely give back what is given to me. I want to thank God first and foremost for my new way of life, my new way of thinking, and my strong sponsorship, accountability, and the discipline of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I don't mean to chase all you men out of the room, but to me, in my opinion, Alcoholics Anonymous is a discipline. I heard it early on in my recovery, coming to meetings, getting commitments, and staying busy, and signing up to go to retreats twice a year, and doing all these, showing up early to make the coffee, going out of my way to pick up somebody. They told me if it wasn't an inconvenience, then it's not being a service. Picking up somebody on the way to a meeting is real convenient, but how about going 20, 30 minutes out of the way and picking them up and bringing them to a meeting? And at the end of the meeting, go ahead and drive an extra 20, 30 minutes to take them home. I've learned quite a bit, and I keep learning with an open mind, how to practice random acts of kindness. These are the things that were instilled in me, and my sponsor had told me, he says, hey Dave, have you ever tried anything to do something nice to somebody and not expect anything in return? Not tooting your own horn and not expecting nothing in return? And I said, never. He goes, good, at least you're honest. You can start doing that now, and I've done that. And I continue to do it randomly, and it's a joy. It really is a joy to get out of myself. And we say that we're the center of our disease is selfishness and self-centeredness, and I do qualify for that. But how do I become unselfish? By practicing unselfish acts. And this is a program of action, what I was taught, and this is what I pass on to the guys that I work with. I want to thank Robert for being here and inviting me. I want to thank James for being here and supporting me, and my other friend Asian Mike for showing up and being here and supporting me. This is what we do. We come to meetings. I followed my sponsor for the past 18 years. When he goes and shares, he always asks me quite often to be his 10-minute, and I'm excited to pick him up. I'm excited to go. I'm on fire for this program. I want to stay sober more than anything else ever in my life. I think I'm at my best when I'm around people on the same path with me. I'll tell you a little bit what it was like and what happened and what it's like today. I didn't get here on a winning streak. I definitely wasn't, things weren't going my way. After a series of arrests and drunk drivings, and I got here probably quicker doing other things like methamphetamine, and it probably hit my bottom a lot quicker than maybe the average drunk. All the time I was always driving with an ice chest in my back and in my back seat, and always had cold beer on me all the time, and going around to my friend's house, and he said, here comes Dave, I know he has cold beer, and he probably has something to drink, those left-handed cigarettes, he's got all that too, and they talk about in the book about fed-weather friends, and once the party was over, my goal in life was never to run out. That was my goal. What a sick, I am sicker than most. I really am. Who does those things, but you pass that imaginary line in the sand like they talk about. I went way beyond it, I got my first drunk driving, and it took me 6 years and 11 months, maybe in 2002, when they didn't prior you up to 10 years. Now I understand it's 10 years. So 6 years and 11 months, I got my second drunk driving. And they put me on a 18-month program, and I didn't complete it. They gave me, it took me 5 years. I got rearrested several times. One time, believe it or not, a knucklehead like me, I had 12 warrants. 8 warrants in LA County and 4 warrants in Orange County. And going back and forth to court, and just getting sick and tired of this life, And finally, I started going to different drug courts, getting arrested for possession and under the influence, possession and under the influence. I have a long track record for rearrest, for not taking care of, showing up at court, and it was just always in handcuffs and going to court line and going to county jail and going to Orange County. It was just a mess, And finally, the judge, I got busted and went to Superior Court in Pasadena, this lady judge, and she says, well, what do you want to do? We have a thing called Prop 36, and this is in 2004. And I said, well, yeah, Prop 36 sounds good. I said, good. So they sent me to this assessment center. They let me out. And I went to this assessment center in Pico Rivera. My mom took me. And the guy's asking me, a series of questions, and my mom's sitting next to me, and like, our mothers don't know us, right? She knows me like better than I know myself. And I started lying to him. I do what I do best. I started lying to him, right? And I told him I was like a weekend warrior. I didn't have a serious problem with drugs and alcohol. And so I basically just bullshitted him. And he sent me, he goes, well, I think maybe you qualify for an outpatient program. And I said, yeah, outpatient, I can do that, So he sends me to this place once a week in front of a group meeting, and then a one-on-one. Then they randomly test you, right? But these guys told me, he goes, look, this place is a joke, man. They don't even watch you when you go and test. They give you a cup to pee in, and they don't even look at you. I said, oh, you got to be kidding me, man. This is going to be easy to flim-flam. Now, I'm the king of flim-flammers, right? I can pull the wool over people's eyes. So I thought, to cut another corner, So I go to one of my friend's house. I got a test like on a Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock, and I go to my friend's house, which happened to be one of my connections. And I go to his house and I say, hey, Lucky, is anybody clean here? Anybody sober here? He goes, man, Dave, you came to the wrong place, man. Nobody? You got about 12 guys there, right? Nah, nobody. Everyone's all fucked up. And I said, oh, shit. He goes, oh, wait a minute. He goes, you can ask Sarah, my wife. He goes, but you got to ask her. I ain't going to ask her for you. All right. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Dave. You want to pee in a cup for me? Would you mind? She goes, oh, my God, you're crazy, And she did. And so I took her urine and I put it in my sock and I went to go test, right? And they did. They were right. They didn't lie to me. I switched her urine into the cup, put my initials on it, and sent it to the lab. And about a week or two later, I had to go back in front of this judge and for a progress report, right? So I go in there in a tie, and the courthouse in Pasadena is full with people, man. And my mom's sitting there, and I go up there, and she calls me up to the thing, and she says, Mr. Cornejo, I got some good news and not so good news. I'm like, what do you want to hear first? I said, well, let's hear the good news. She goes, well, the good news is that you're clean and you're sober. I said, yes, right on. She goes, the not so good news is that you're pregnant. I said, oh, God. My mom just put her head down. She was like, oh, God, not again, So they gaffle me up, and I go back there in the dungeon, and some of those guys, I was wearing a tie, right? So they thought I was an attorney or somebody, right? I was nobody special, just another drunk, right? So I go back, and at this time, she sends me, I have 16 months hanging over my head if I don't complete this program, and it can go up to 2 years. And she sends me to prison, Chino prison now this time, and go to prison, right? Chino. And I have 1 year credit, and I qualify for halftime. So they send me on a 30-day tryout. And during those 30 days, I think when I went there, being hard-headed, being stubborn, being, that big shotism that they talk about, being real childish. By the way, I can't claim that I had the best childhood, but I definitely did have the longest. That's for sure. So I'm there, and my breakthrough comes. Right? And I said, my God, I don't want to be here ever again. I can't believe that I'm here. How could a square like me end up in a place like this? That's it. I'm done. I'm gonna. When I get out of here, I'm gonna go back into that guy, and I'm gonna do what I got to do to get honest for the first time. So I go back to court. She sends me to this assessment center. And I tell the guy for the first time, my mom brings me again the second time, and I ask my mom, can you please wait over there if I can talk to this guy in private, She goes, yeah. And I'm talking to the guy, and I told him, well, the first time I was here, you remember me, right? He goes, oh, yeah. He says, I go, well, I lied to you. I got a major problem. This is all I do. This is what I think about. This is what I accept over. This is what I want to do. This is how I live. I need help. He says, "Well, you're willing to go to a recovery house today? It's called the Lakata Allen House in Santa Fe Springs. And it's a behavior modification program." I said, "Yeah, I'm willing to go today." And I did. He took me over there and I got a bed and I completed the program, and my life has not been, hasn't been better since. I've always had the urge to do something different, but I couldn't do it on my own. I had to really discover what the hell was really going on with me, you know. And through a series of events that happened, I went to this behavior modification and trying to realize, I'm asking myself, I didn't ask the counselor, what does behavior have to do with staying sober and staying clean? Man, I was so, I mean, they call me Rip Van Winkle. You know, Rip Van Winkle is a guy that slept for 20 years, right? And a lot of my friends, "Hey, Rip, how you doing, Rip?" It wasn't a compliment, right? And so I went and I said, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever they told me to do, you know. And one of the things they had me do is they had me write a goodbye letter to my alcohol/drug of choice. And they said, you know, be honest, you know, just write the letter and just be honest, right? And so I did that, and the only thing I can think of was that song by the Manhattans, "Let's Just Kiss and Say Goodbye," right? And it starts off with, "This has got to be the saddest day of my life. I've been meeting here today for a bit of bad news," you know? And it goes on, right? And so after I got done writing that goodbye letter, and then I had to recite it in front of my peers, right? And I'm crying, man, like a baby, you know? And little did I know that it was helping me surrender. It was helping me surrender, looking back, right? And then the other one that I'll never forget was they had to clean off my desk and write on the headline there, my obituary. Now, you were to write something down, what people would say about you if you were to die tomorrow. Wow. And I just started bawling again, writing all these things that people may remember me as, you know. And little did I know that it was starting to get me to get honest and do a 4-step. You know, a little bit about my obituary. If I was not to change and do something different, that I was going to die. I was able to complete that program, and I went to a sober living in South El Monte called the Miracle House, and I was there for 4.5 years. My sponsor's wife introduced me to one of her best friends, which is my wife today, Sandra, and we got engaged. And a couple of things that went on in my life. Fast forward, my son has a little girl that's 2 years old. They asked me if I wanted to be the legal guardian. And I asked my fiance at the time, "Were you interested in doing this? I don't want to put the pressure on you." She goes, "Oh no, in my country, we do this for free. We do this for nothing. Let's bring her in, you know." So they cleared her in like 2 days. She was cleared. They ran my fingerprints, and I had a list and stack of different things that I had to overcome. Thank God most of my beefs were in Whittier Court. And Whittier Court was closed during the pandemic, and they had closed the court in Whittier Court or whatever. But the pandemic didn't happen yet. But anyway, so I got cleared after about 2.5 months. They cleared it up for me, and I was able to get my granddaughter legal guardianship. And then my grandson came, and now I'm raising my grandkids they call me Papa, and they call my wife Mama. Now Leilani, she's 10, and my little boy, he's 7. So we postponed our wedding engagement, right? I proposed her to get married. I asked her father. Her father said, "Yeah, but let me ask you something, Dave." He says, "What if Sandra tells you no? Then what are you going to do?" And I didn't think about that, right? I didn't know if there was an option of her saying no. Thank God she didn't say no. And she said yes. He said, "Okay." So then we go through this process, a long, drawn-out process, and now it came time to get married, right? And I asked her, "Where do you want to go? Where do you want to get married? You want to have a big wedding? Whatever you want to do. You know, I got the money. I can afford it. No problem." And she says, "No." She goes, "I don't want you to spend. You know, you're not getting any younger, compadre. You just hold on to your money. You know. Oh, you want to go to Vegas?" She goes, "I hate Vegas." He goes, "Yeah. You want to have a small wedding in the backyard?" "No, I don't want to have that." "What are you going to do? Talk shit about my dress? Talk about the food, the music?" She goes, "It's not worth it. Save your money. You know." So we decided to go to this place in East LA, and we got married in a small little chapel. And James was there, my brother Steve was there, only like 4 witnesses, right? My mother-in-law was there, and we exchanged our vows. 10 minutes later, we were married on a Wednesday, like about noontime, right? And this lady, the retired judge, married us. And as I'm walking out of the chapel, she says, "Excuse me." And I turned around and said, "Me?" She goes, "Yeah, come here." And I said, "Oh my God." "Yeah, what is it?" She says, "Where do I know you from? You look familiar. I never forget a face," she tells me, right? I said, "I have no idea where you know her." She goes, "Oh." And then it kind of clicked and it dawned on me. I just took a risk, right? And I said, "Did you ever work in Pasadena?" She goes, "I sure did. I retired there years ago." She goes, "I worked there for many years, over 30 years. And then I kind of finally knew it might have been her, right? And I said, "Did anybody ever come up pregnant in your courthouse?" She goes, "Oh my God, was that you?" And I said, "That was you?" She goes, "I told my brother, I told my sister, I told my cousin, that was you." I said, "Oh my God, what year was that?" I said, "It was like in 2004. This is about 4 or 5 years ago, right? And I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I didn't want my wife. My sponsor told me not everybody needs to hear your inventory. Nobody needs to hear your inventory. You can tell them a little bit what it was like, but you don't need to share your inventory. So I wanted to get out of there without her having to hear that. And fast forward, we get married, and we're living this life of peace and harmony, and a life that I live today is just beyond measure. The God of my understanding, and having the ability to understand what it's like when we're undecisive and we don't know what to do. When somebody comes in, a female may come to the door and it's a men's stag and she needs a meeting. What do we do? Do we do a group conscience? Do we let her come in? Do we say, "No, sorry, you got to leave, this is a men's stag"? She's an alcoholic. She needs to be in a meeting. She wants to hear the message. She wants to stay sober. What do we do? And here's the topic for the day. What will the master do? What will the master do? And we quiet the room, and we pause, and we wait for the answer to come. Finally, we know what the master will do. It's been a pleasure to share. It's been a pleasure to be here. And I'll tell you, newcomers that are here, I want to welcome you guys to Alcoholics Anonymous. If a knucklehead like me that broke every rule in the book twice can find a God of their understanding, get sober, stay sober, work the steps, go to retreats, work with others, you can do it too. Thank you for letting me share.